Awesome. And well, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I am super excited to our first franchisee interview of 2024, and I couldn't be more excited to have a conversation with Steve and Leslie Whatley out of Plano, Texas. We'll get into that a little bit. Just as a couple housekeeping items here. My name is Mike Condon. I'm the Franchise Development Director here at HomeWell, along with Trey Johnson. We have Samantha Sieber as well. If you guys have any questions as we go through this, please feel free to throw them in the Q&A chat box below. We will try to answer those as we see fit. But as always, if something comes up and we don't get an opportunity to answer it, or you have a question that pops up afterwards and want to follow up, please always feel free to reach out and we can make sure that we get those questions answered. So Steve, Leslie, thank you so much for joining us today. I'd love to start, as we always do, kind of in the beginning. You guys have been with HomeWell since 2016, so it's been a minute. You guys have seen the kind of where we were to where we are today. But if you don't mind, maybe sharing with the group a little bit about your backgrounds and kind of what drove you into this decision to become a HomeWell franchisee.
Okay, well, we were looking for a way to get out of the corporate world, and I had spent a lot of time at the Ohio State University, and we brought my dad up there from Louisiana after he had a stroke in January of 2006. And over the years that we cared for him, it was an incredible learning experience. That first year, 18 months, was a pretty steep learning curve because we didn't know anything about aging. I was seeing my dad in a different light. I learned a lot from him in terms of what his needs were and what his likes and dislikes were. So he passed away in 2012, and over the next couple of years after that, we kind of thought we want to do something different. We're kind of stuck in the corporate world picture, and we wanted to do something that would provide us the latitude of running our own business and maybe at some point in time becoming absentee owners and things of that nature. So to me, it was the natural fit because of what we had learned with my dad and also Leslie's mom to go into this business. And we sought out and talked to I think probably 3, maybe 4 different in-home care franchises. And HomeWell was the only one that we could talk to anybody that we wanted to. We could talk to matter of fact, by the time we got to HomeWell, I said to the business development person, really as a joke, can I talk to the CEO? Because nobody else had let me do it. And she said, absolutely. When would you like to schedule that? And I about fell out of my chair. And not only did we get to talk to the CEO, but we talked to her several times. And we also got to talk to any franchisee we wanted. And it just felt like a comfortable place to be and start a business and get the support that we needed. And, away we went. We were very supportive when we got started. I could pick up the phone and call the CEO or our original founder anytime. And that means a lot because it can be a scary time when you're jumping off into a new business, especially a business that you've not been in. So
right.
Unless you got
and you never know until you're in something really what you're in, right? But with our background, Steve's background was law enforcement, mine was sales. But we had always been in this kind of care mode, right? Of people, clients and also family. And it just seemed like Steve said, it was the natural way to go that because it was just something that was, we felt like we were drawn to.
Yeah.
The helping others. And it has proved to be the right business for us because we have not most, but a great many of our referrals come from former clients and families. And so
yeah, I think
your model has proven to be very good as far as I will say the introductions that we do the caregivers like it, and they also the clients, because they're both, everybody's on the same page when you go over the care plan, introduce the caregivers, and it's just been a good model.
So as husband and wife, we get this question a lot. You know, I always think this business model is set up for partners, and whether that's husband, wife, it's irrelevant. But I think the skill set of each person and each people that come into this can be very different in the roles. So talk to everybody about what your individual roles are, maybe how they started, and what do they look like today as you guys have grown your business.
Well, when we started, we did everything. There was Leslie and I. She was caregiver, she was marketer, she was admissions person. I did some admissions, I did some companion care and things of that nature. So for the first few months, well, I wouldn't say, for the first few months, it was us. And as we grew, I don't think we added caregivers, of course, we're always doing that. And you want to build up your stable of caregivers and keep it as much as possible. But as far as administrative people, I think we were about a year into it before we added any administrative folks. And as we grew, and as we have grown, well, first things first, we learned to stay out of each other's lanes.
Yeah.
Right. I learned I could not be both husband and CEO. I had to pick.
Yep.
And so I picked the one that did me the most good, right? So Leslie is client relations and admissions. She touches every client in some form or fashion in multiple ways. And I'm administrative. I am a happy camper in my office.
And that would drive me crazy.
With coffee, with my coffee. And if I can talk my Scottish Terrier to stay with me, I'm a happy guy. Now, one of the things I do like to do is I like to go out and make presentations. And I've done more of that in the past few months than I have in a while. And we're really going after the veterans population because there's so many good benefits for veterans now that they don't even know about.
Yeah.
So, my recommendation, and maybe, the people on the call are smarter than I was, but try to create your own lanes and stay in them. If there's things you need to talk about it out of the presence of the staff, because when you come before the staff, you need to be a united team because, everybody's human and they'll try to triangulate and things of that nature. But I think it's worked pretty well because Leslie's the face and the personality, and her 35 years of retail sales really played a role in the sense of not selling HomeWell, but selling our clients on her.
Yeah.
People are going to buy this service with the heart, not with the head.
If they trust you, then they'll trust your product, no matter what that is, right?
Yeah.
So
and that's why about 24% of our business has been former clients or clients' families or current clients and clients' families.
Yeah.
And I think we're pretty high in that percentage. So we've been asked by other franchises how you do it. And I just point to her because she goes and does it. She goes by and hugs on the clients and the clients' families. And if there's any issues, and there will be issues, we try to route them to our team. But sometimes when it comes to Leslie, she takes care of it. And
but also on that note, we also support our employees. So if it's not always the client's right, and if we have discharged clients because of prejudices or they want us to just give them white caregivers, no, that's most of our caregivers are not, and we hire qualified people. And it's not on color or race or any of that. So you have to show your staff that you're supportive of them as well as the client.
So how do you feel again, a lot of the questions that we get on the front end revolve around, okay, how do I get caregivers? More importantly, how do I keep caregivers or quality staff? How do you feel that has played a part into your retention of your good people?
So we have used probably every job sourcing site there is out there. And we have found most to be expensive and not necessarily that beneficial. I mean, you have to use something, and you might be more comfortable with My CNA Jobs or Hireology or ZipRecruiter. But if you find somebody that will apply to My CNA, they probably applied to the other two sites as well. So you don't need a multiple sources. We primarily use Indeed right now. We change up our job ads a little bit when we need to, and that seems to give us adequate resources for now. And I mean, the spend is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, $1,100-$1,200 a month. But what you want is you want to keep a stable of caregivers because, as you and I talked yesterday, Mike, you're going to have that 4 o'clock on a Friday call from a panicky daughter or son that says mom or dad's being discharged Monday from rehab and they need 24/7 care. And of course, with our background, we made those calls for both of our parents. We know how that person feels on the other end of the phone. So we can say, you call the right place. I've been in your shoes, and absolutely we can start care on Monday. If you don't keep that stable, you don't keep those people available, then it's more difficult to do.
And you'll lose some because if you don't have work for them right off, they'll go take something else. But you just have to keep filling it in with other people. So
yeah, and so as far as retention's concerned, we're good to our folks. Somebody might come by here in the office to check on something, and we know who they are, and we might hand them $20 and they say, "What's that for?" And I said, "You can always use some gas money, right?" And they're really appreciative of that. We recognize people on a monthly basis. And also we have something pretty unheard of in home care, and that's paid time off. And when you share that in an orientation, they might look at you like you got two heads because and they ask you, "I can really take off and get paid?" Yeah. I mean, there's rules you have to follow. You can't have any
earn it.
Yeah, you can't have any call offs and things of that nature.
Be on time.
But you get PTO, and we also have we are, let's see, finishing our second year having a health plan. It's not major medical because caregivers can't afford that, but they have a health plan that gives them access to primary care and specialty care, medical tests, and x-rays and prescription medications. And we pay half of the premium. And not everybody uses it, but everybody enrolled uses it. I think we have about 20 people who use it, who are enrolled, and our provider says they use it, which is great. That's what we want it for, because we have caregivers who, for themselves or their children, they would try to work sick because they couldn't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
And so now they can't. They don't have any excuses. So that's been a huge benefit. I mean, it's costly, but so is seeking out caregivers. And we've got some caregivers that's been with us for 4 years, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when we talk about retention, and again, it's great hearing it from you guys. And I think a lot of our owners would sentiment that is empathy, and you care about your employees, right? I think this industry is alone. A lot of people as agency owners just feel the caregivers are a commodity and they treat them like that. But I think with what you're saying, the best retention tool is, well, just don't be that crappy boss. Care about your people. And, and that's the reality of it is this business.
I think this employee group has been treated pretty poorly. And that's the sense we get. that they've been treated pretty poorly. Matter of fact, we were having a conversation about one of our caregivers before we got on the call that our client relations manager said, I think she's been treated poorly by other companies, and she kind of expects it from us. And when it's not happening, she didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
But we try to do our best to make sure that they are taken care of and they are appreciated. Probably the biggest thing we've ever done for any individual is we had a caregiver come to the office, and she was very upset, and she finally got to where she could tell us that her mother was ill. Her father was taking care of her mom. She hadn't seen her mom in 5 years, and she lived in Detroit. So we sent her and her daughter home to Detroit for a week to visit with her mom. You know, we paid her airfare and everything. And she just looked at us like, I can't believe you're doing this. And I said, you need to go see your mom. You need to see your mom, and mom needs to see you.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely priceless for us to be able to do that. And, you know, but that's part of the business. You know, if you want to get into the business to make money, I think that's a good thing, right? That's why you're in business. But if you can't touch people in a special way along the way, then at the end of the day, what are you going to have, right? Yeah. You might have your bank account full, but you know, where's that empathy and joy and happiness that you can have because you know you did people really well.
Well, and we tell our employees, you know, you may be the only person that these clients see. They don't have some of them don't have families, they don't have, and the joy that you can bring that person is immeasurable. And it's just it's a great thing when you can bond with it. We have one caregiver that was with a client for 4 years before she died, and that the client taught her happiness again, as well as, but so it was a really nice thing to see.
Yeah. When we talk a lot about business, right? And business models and how are we going to be successful and grow a territory. I think at the core though of everything that we do is exactly what you said, is people, right? When you guys go to sleep at night, and I know on our team and corporately, when we go to bed at night, we know that we're making an impact on people and making an impact on communities. And I think that's the immeasurable side of this business, because you can look at measurables and KPIs and all this fun stuff that we as you as franchise owners see from a numbers perspective. What you can't measure is exactly what you just said. And that, you know, when you're done and you're out of this business and you've moved on, or whatever that looks like for you guys, you can look back and say, we had an impact on a lot of people's lives. And that's why when we talk about with our candidates, what is your why? You have to have a why to be in this business. And I can confidently say that a lot of them do. Most of them do, that end up deciding to join us here at HomeWell. All of our franchise owners have a reason why, and that means something, and you feel it. And I think that's what's going to make you successful and has made you guys successful in this business, is because of that. The last thing I just kind of want to touch on a little bit, you talked about the caregivers. You know, again, the question we get is, well, how do I know I can keep up with the demand of the clients? We all know the clients are there. I think, you know, you have to work at it. It's not something you're going to open your doors and all of a sudden have 50 clients. Like, we know that. But if you do earn the right things, clients are going to come. Caregivers are also going to come if you continue to do the right things. How have you guys been able to manage that growth process? Have you guys ever had to turn a client away?
No. We probably, you know, as my dad would say, using good common sense, we probably should have a couple of times, because we weren't quite at the point where we had the best person to send, and we had a hiccup or two, but we've never turned down a client. And I know some agencies have had wait list, which is a great thing, right? But we also know that based on the client family you have, if they need care, when they need care, we try to deliver then or earlier, because otherwise they could go someplace else. We're in the Dallas area, I've never counted all the in-home care companies, but I would imagine there are probably 350
hundreds.
companies out here.
There's hundreds.
We've never really worried about the competition because over the last 8 years, we have worked behind quite a few of them, and we know that we're doing pretty well. So, I mean, did that answer your question, Mike? I think that it's just point in the direction you're headed and put your nose to the grindstone and get it done, because it always just seems to come together,
And there'll be times, guys, at first you'll think, oh my gosh, what am I in? Because it's in the middle of the night and you get a call that someone didn't show up. And that's when I'd throw on my jeans and head out to the client's house, or until we found somebody, until we could get somebody in there. But, or if a caregiver, gets an emergency call for their family and they have to leave, they'll call us. I'll go out, be with the client until we get someone to take her place. It's all about how you recover from things. I had an intake one time with a gentleman, and I said, oh, when were you planning on starting? When did you want to see? He says, right now. And I said, okay. So I was with that man for 16 hours until we got someone to start coming to him. So, there's all kinds of scenarios, but just get ready that you'll have those, all of a sudden life happens, right? And you just have these things come up, but it's how you recover from them is going to help your business. So.
Yeah. And I mean, you could say that about any business though, too,
Sure.
right? I mean, as a business owner, I mean, it doesn't matter what business model you're in.
Exactly.
Stuff's going to hit the fan sometimes. You just have to be,
Right.
I think you learn from that experience. And the nice thing with us, with as many owners as we have now and people like yourselves, we've been in it a while. We've learned a lot of lessons of how to troubleshoot that stuff before it even happens. So, I think that's the biggest thing.
So
as
just expect
people,
the unexpected.
yeah. And try to prepare as best as you can. There's going to be situations you're just not ready for, and it happens. And, but they can pick up the phone and call you guys and say, how did you handle this? Because I can probably guarantee there isn't anything that anybody's going to face that you guys haven't seen before, as been doing this for 8+ years.
And be willing to accept responsibility. You know what? We messed up on this. We didn't have somebody there or somebody didn't come at the right time. That's on us, but let me come out until we get somebody. I mean, it's just how you handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
there's nothing that can happen that can't be remedied in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
We tell the caregivers the same thing because they think, oh, I didn't get a paycheck, or I didn't get this. You didn't pay me right. No problem. We can make up that difference. I can write you a check. You can come by and get, so anything can be fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you have that empathy and that you care. It's not just, oh, well, but it's, to your point, there's people make mistakes, and that's okay too. So how do you recover, to your point, from that?
Right.
The last thing I kind of want to ask about is, you guys were here, I call it HomeWell 1.0, and now we kind of brand ourselves HomeWell 2.0 as we've gone through an ownership change and stuff. What do you feel the biggest value is today that you didn't have when you started?
I think the first thing that strikes me that didn't strike me yesterday when we talked was when we walked into the first conference that Bruce and Crystal put on, and I think it was 2019, I think. And when I walked into the room, you could feel that the level of professionalism had gone up. Everything was more polished, more precision.
There was a plan.
That was the first sign. And then being able to sit down with Bruce, and Bruce says, you're one of our first franchisees. Tell me what we need to do and how we need to do it. And he still asks those questions, 5 years later. I think that with his experience in franchising, It's moved us to the next level. He's put the money, the resources, and the people, the right people in the right places, and got us an infrastructure to where I know his desire was to have 120, I think it was 125 franchisees in 5 or 6 years, and they've almost done it. We're almost there. And, we've got a team of franchise business coaches that help us along the way. Because sometimes we get stumped, sometimes we get stuck. But I think it's a difference in night and day, really.
Yeah.
And when you on social media and different things, you'll see some vendor companies out there that would say these are our partners, and a few years ago they would have Visiting Angels, Home Instead, and a couple of others names. Now they have our name out there.
Yeah.
So we're becoming a national brand pretty fast. We were the first in Texas in 2016. And now I think we have 10 or 11.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
It's a good presence in Texas. It's definitely
Right.
one of our larger franchisee markets, most definitely.
Yeah.
It's been a fun ride. Again, as we look to the future, we never want to look past the impact that you guys have had on HomeWell, because as what we call legacy owners, right? I mean, it's so important to draw the experiences of where we were to how we're going to get to the future. And with you guys, we know the future is bright, and I can't thank you guys enough for taking time out of your day to spend with us, to spend with the folks on the other end here, hopefully learning about your experiences. And again, just as a reminder, if anybody has any follow-up questions for us, please feel free to shoot them over to us. We'll be happy to answer those. If you're going through your validation stage and you want to have a conversation with Steve and Leslie, I know they would welcome that to, again, just allow you to pick their brains about their experiences with HomeWell on all fronts, both good and challenges. Because again, it's a business. Nothing's ever perfect.
Right.
So,
Right.
Leslie, Steve, thank you guys so much. We wish you continued success in 2024 here, and look forward to seeing you guys in conference here in a couple of months.
Yeah.
You bet. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thanks,
great day.
Steve and Leslie.
You bet. Thank you.